What if the Bible we know today is missing critical details about the creation of the world, the lives of the patriarchs, and even the laws of God? Hidden within the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible lies the Book of Jubilees, a text that claims to unveil lost stories, reveal cosmic truths, and offer a profound perspective on God's divine plan for humanity. Yet, this ancient book has been banned from most of the Christian world. Why? What makes it so contentious? Known as the Little Genesis, the Book of Jubilees stretches far beyond the familiar narratives of the Bible. It not only expands on the story of Genesis but also makes bold declarations that could challenge how we understand time, spirituality, and divine law. According to this book, the calendar used by much of the world today is wrong. Jubilees presents a divine solar calendar of 364 days, meticulously aligned with heavenly order, an eternal rhythm established by God, yet FO. In this video, we'll embark on an extraordinary journey to uncover the mysteries of Jubilees. Why was this text rejected by the early church? What forbidden knowledge does it contain that made it too controversial for mainstream Christianity? Prepare to explore a hidden chapter of biblical history that could change the way we see the foundations of faith. The Book of Jubilees doesn't just retell the Genesis creation story. It expands it into a grand cosmic narrative. According to Jubilees, when God created the world, He didn't merely bring life into existence. He also wove time itself into the fabric of creation, aligning it with His divine will. This is where the profound concept of sacred time is introduced. Unlike the traditional lunar calendars followed by most of the ancient world, Jubilees presents a meticulously crafted solar calendar, 364 days divided into 4 seasons, each consisting of exactly 91 days, governed by heavenly beings. This calendar isn't just about marking time. It's about living in harmony with the divine rhythm of the universe. Jubilees claims that humanity was meant to follow this sacred order, ensuring that holy days such as the Sabbath and festivals always fall precisely as ordained by God. It's a perfect, unchanging system, yet it has been forgotten by a world that now struggles with spiritual chaos. While Genesis focuses on the creation of the earth, Jubilees zooms out, unveiling a more expansive picture of the universe. Before the world itself was formed, God created the angels on the first day, assigning them critical roles in maintaining the cosmos. These celestial beings were tasked with governing the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, ensuring the seasons unfolded as intended. Others served as messengers and guardians of divine law, bridging the gap between heaven and earth. The Book of Jubilees emphasizes the indispensable role of these angels in preserving cosmic order. They ensure that celestial bodies stay true to their paths and seasons remain perfectly aligned. For God commanded that the sun must maintain its division of the seasons, declares Jubilees 2:9. Yet, Jubilees also issues a warning. When humanity abandons this sacred time, God's divine calendar, the result is chaos, both cosmic and spiritual. This theme echoes throughout the book, underscoring the critical importance of aligning with God's eternal order. The Book of Jubilees makes a bold and provocative claim. The world is meant to follow a solar calendar, not a lunar one, as used by many ancient cultures, including the Israelites. According to Jubilees, the solar calendar is the only system that perfectly aligns with God's divine order. This sacred calendar is structured with 364 days, divided into 52 flawless weeks, with each season, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, lasting exactly 91 days. This divine system ensures that holy days, such as the Sabbath and annual festivals, fall precisely on the correct days every year without deviation. Intriguingly, this solar calendar bears a striking resemblance to the Ethiopian calendar still used today by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which divides the year into 12 months of 30 days each, plus an extra 5 or 6 days, called pagum, to balance the year. Could the Ethiopian calendar be one of the last remaining echoes of the sacred timekeeping described in Jubilees? By contrast, the lunar calendar, widely embraced by ancient cultures, including the Israelites, is depicted in Jubilees as a corruption of divine order. Its irregular months disrupt the alignment of sacred days, leading to spiritual chaos. There will be those who observe the moon, but they will disturb the seasons and turn an abominable day into a day of testimony. Jubilees 6:37. For Jubilees, adhering to the lunar calendar is more than an error. It is an act of rebellion against God's will. The text urges humanity to return to the solar calendar, restoring harmony with the divine rhythm that God established at the creation of the world. Jubilees not only reaffirms the six-day creation story found in Genesis, but also illuminates the deeper significance of the Sabbath. According to Jubilees, God didn't simply rest on the seventh day. He sanctified it as a cosmic principle, an eternal law binding not only for humanity but also for the angels. The Sabbath is described as the foundation of time itself, a holy day set apart from the beginning of creation to be observed forever. In Jubilees, the Sabbath transcends the weekly cycle, connecting with a larger sacred framework that includes Jubilee years, 49-year cycles of restoration, freedom, and renewal for humanity, the earth, and even the heavenly realms. For he sanctified the seventh day and blessed it forever, as a sign of holiness for all his works. Jubilees 2:21. This emphasis on the Sabbath as an eternal law reveals that Jubilees is not just retelling the creation story, but unveiling the profound spiritual significance of time cycles, which govern the cosmos and all creation. The Book of Jubilees also enriches the story of Adam, offering insights beyond what is written in Genesis. Adam was created on the sixth day, but Jubilees goes further, revealing that God gave him specific commandments immediately after his creation. These included the observance of the Sabbath, laws of purity, marriage, and worship, rules that would form the foundation of humanity's covenant with God. These divine instructions were not merely spoken by God. They were delivered and explained by angels. According to Jubilees, angels acted as intermediaries between God and Adam, teaching him how to follow the commandments. Among these heavenly beings were the angels of the presence, who ensured that Adam and Eve understood the sacred laws of holiness, sacrifice, and morality. On the sixth day of the second week, as the Lord commanded, we brought to Adam all the beasts, cattle, birds, and everything that moves on earth and in the water, each according to its kind. Jubilees 3:1-2. This interaction between Adam and the angels underscores the divine origin of God's law, emphasizing that it was not a human invention but a timeless order written into the fabric of creation itself. The angels made it clear to Adam, God's laws were to be observed as an eternal covenant, just as they themselves uphold these laws in the heavenly realm. Through this lens, Jubilees invites readers to see the Sabbath not merely as a day of rest, but as a key to aligning with the eternal rhythms of divine creation, woven into the very foundation of the universe. What if the laws of God were handed down to humanity long before Moses stood on Mount Sinai? Could the ancient precepts given to Adam, Noah, and Abraham hold clues to divine wisdom lost over the ages? If you're curious about the commandments God gave to early patriarchs and how they compare to the laws of Moses, this exploration of the Book of Jubilees will deepen your understanding of ancient truths that shaped human history. After the fall of Adam and Eve, Jubilees sheds light on the lives of their children, Cain and Abel. While Genesis recounts Cain's murder of Abel, Jubilees adds depth, portraying it as humanity's first great transgression against God's law, a sin that reverberated through all creation. Yet even as Cain is cast out, Jubilees highlights a thread of hope. The righteous lineage of humanity continues through Seth, Adam's third son, described as a man of virtue taught by angels to follow divine law. This righteous lineage culminates in Noah, whose life becomes a pivotal chapter in Jubilees. While the Genesis story of the flood is familiar, Jubilees uncovers hidden layers of meaning, emphasizing Noah's covenant with God and his role as a preserver of divine law. Before the flood, Jubilees delves into the earth's corruption, particularly focusing on the Nephilim, offspring of fallen angels and human women. While Genesis only briefly mentions the Nephilim, Jubilees paints a vivid picture of their role in spreading wickedness and destabilizing creation's natural order. And sin and lawlessness increased upon the earth, and all flesh corrupted its ways. Mankind, livestock, wild animals, birds, and all that moved upon the earth, they all deviated from their natural order. Jubilees 5:2. This decay was not solely the result of human sin. The fallen angels introduced forbidden knowledge, unraveling the harmony God had established in creation. In response, God sends the flood to cleanse the earth, sparing only Noah and his family for their righteousness. But the story doesn't end with survival. Jubilees reveals that God established a new covenant with Noah after the flood, one centered on laws of purity, sacrifice, and holiness. These laws, later formalized in the Mosaic covenant, were designed to safeguard humanity from repeating the sins that led to the flood. Jubilees emphasizes that Noah was instructed to observe the Sabbath and follow the commandments given to Adam regarding offerings and purity. This covenant marked not only a new beginning but also a reaffirmation of humanity's responsibility to align with God's will. Jubilees portrays Noah as a guardian of divine law, offering sacrifices and maintaining spiritual purity as acts of devotion and obedience. Centuries later, Abraham emerges as a towering figure in Jubilees, his story imbued with a cosmic significance often absent in Genesis. While Genesis introduces Abraham as the obedient servant who leaves his homeland at God's command, Jubilees takes us back to his youth, revealing him as a revolutionary who defied the idolatry of his family and society. Raised in a household steeped in idol worship, Abraham dared to question the false gods his father, Terah, revered. Jubilees describes a young Abraham discovering the futility of idol worship and taking a dramatic stand. And he said, "Father, what are these idols you worship?" And Abraham saw they were mere images of stone. He burned them before the people and fled into the wilderness. Jubilees 11:16-17. This bold act of rebellion against idolatry sets Abraham apart as a seeker of truth and a champion of monotheism, a precursor to his role as the father of nations. One of the most striking revelations in Jubilees is that Abraham followed divine laws long before Moses received the Ten Commandments. While Genesis focuses on Abraham's faith and his covenant of circumcision, Jubilees portrays him as observing the Sabbath, performing sacrifices, and adhering to commandments often associated with the Mosaic law. These laws, according to Jubilees, were not new but had existed since creation, inscribed on heavenly tablets and handed down by angels to the patriarchs. Abraham, guided by angelic instruction, was a custodian of this eternal law, a role that transcended his personal faith journey and connected him to a cosmic plan. And he was taught by the angels about the things written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 12:25. This portrayal elevates Abraham from a mere figure of faith to a pivotal actor in God's grand design, his life interwoven with the celestial order governing both heaven and earth. The covenant of circumcision is a defining moment in Abraham's story, described in Genesis 17 as a sign of his agreement with God. Jubilees takes this covenant to an entirely new level, revealing that circumcision was not just a symbol but a universal law preordained before creation itself. And this law is for all generations forever, with no shortening of days or omission of any day within the 8 days. For it is an eternal ordinance decreed and written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 15:25. In Jubilees, circumcision is not simply an act of obedience. It is a profound alignment with the divine blueprint, a physical manifestation of humanity's connection to God's eternal laws. Through Noah, Abraham, and the eternal covenant, Jubilees unveils a world where humanity is called to participate in a cosmic harmony. The laws given to these patriarchs were not merely historical artifacts but timeless principles meant to guide humanity toward its sacred destiny. Abraham's journey, Noah's obedience, and the laws they followed form the foundation of a divine plan that continues to unfold across time and eternity. The story of Abraham's ultimate test of faith, his willingness to sacrifice Isaac, is one of the most poignant moments in the Bible. Genesis 22 verses 1-19. The Book of Jubilees, however, reframes this narrative, adding layers of spiritual conflict and divine purpose. According to Jubilees, Abraham's trial wasn't merely about his obedience. It was a battleground in the cosmic war between good and evil. At the heart of this spiritual warfare was Messianic, a figure often likened to Satan, who proposed this test to God in hopes that Abraham would falter. Representing the forces of rebellion, Messianic sought to disrupt the divine plan. Yet Jubilees reveals a crucial intervention. Angels acted as mediators in the unfolding drama, ensuring that Abraham's faith would shine through. And I stood before him and the prince of Messianic, and the Lord said, "Command him not to lay his hand on the boy, nor do anything to him, for now I know that he fears the Lord. Jubilees 18:10. This portrayal transforms the story of Abraham's test into something far greater than a personal trial. It becomes a cosmic showdown, one that affirms the unyielding triumph of faith over evil. While Genesis focuses on Abraham's individual struggle, Jubilees casts this moment as pivotal in a larger spiritual narrative, revealing God's sovereignty in the face of rebellion. Before Jacob and Esau were even born, Rebekah received a divine revelation about the fate of her twin sons. Genesis 25 verse 23. Jubilees amplifies this prophecy, portraying their rivalry as not just a family drama but a clash of destinies set in motion by God's grand design. Jacob, the younger twin, was predestined to inherit God's covenant, while Esau was fated to rebel against divine order. Jubilees even suggests that Rebekah and Isaac were given spiritual insight into Esau's defiant nature and the future enmity his lineage would bear toward Jacob's descendants. And the Lord said to her, "Two nations will be divided from your womb, and one nation will be stronger than the other, and the elder will serve the younger." Jubilees 19:13. While Genesis presents Jacob's cunning and Esau's impulsiveness as defining their conflict, Jubilees paints a more profound picture. Jacob's actions, though they may seem deceitful, are portrayed as aligning with God's divine plan. Conversely, Esau is not merely a brother who loses his birthright but the forefather of a rebellious nation destined to oppose God's chosen people. And Esau took his wives and children, and all that he possessed, and went to the hill country of Seir and lived there. Esau became a nation, and they oppressed the descendants of Jacob. Jubilees 37:1. In Jubilees, this conflict transcends personal grievances, becoming symbolic of the eternal struggle between righteousness, Jacob and Israel, and rebellion, Esau and Edom. Jacob's blessing from Isaac, which solidified his place as the patriarch of the 12 tribes of Israel, Genesis 27, takes on a greater significance in Jubilees. Here, Jacob is not merely a recipient of God's covenant, but a steward of divine law, entrusted with preserving sacred commandments passed down from Abraham. After receiving Isaac's blessing, Jacob is visited by God and his angels, who reveal the laws he and his descendants must follow. These include observing the Sabbath, maintaining purity, and adhering to the sacred calendar, practices that would later form the foundation of Mosaic law. And the Lord appeared to him in the night and said, "I am the Lord of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you are lying, I will give to you and your descendants, and your descendants will be as numerous as the stars of heaven." Jubilees 27:23. Jubilees elevates Jacob's role beyond that of a patriarch. He is depicted as a guardian of divine law, tasked with aligning his lineage with the eternal order established by God. The 12 sons of Jacob, born to Leah, Rachel, and their handmaids, become the foundation of the 12 tribes of Israel in Genesis. But Jubilees transforms their births into a celestial event, orchestrated by divine timing and recorded on heavenly tablets. And the wives and handmaids of Jacob bore him 12 sons, each at the time ordained by God, and their destinies were written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 28:12. While Genesis focuses on the human relationships and struggles within Jacob's family, Jubilees casts the birth of his sons as an integral part of God's eternal plan. Each child is born according to a sacred schedule, ensuring that the 12 tribes align perfectly with the divine vision for the world. In Jubilees, the story of Jacob, Esau, and the 12 tribes is reimagined as part of a cosmic narrative. It intertwines their lives with divine laws, heavenly mandates, and eternal destinies, transforming their earthly struggles into reflections of God's overarching plan. Jacob's obedience, Esau's rebellion, and the establishment of the 12 tribes are no longer just family sagas. They are milestones in the fulfillment of God's covenant with humanity. The story of Joseph in the Book of Jubilees takes on a profound, cosmic significance far beyond the narrative in Genesis. While Genesis presents Joseph's trials and rise to power as a tale of resilience and divine favor, Jubilees reframes it as a key piece of God's eternal plan, intricately woven into the fabric of the universe and recorded on the heavenly tablets. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, loses his birthright after committing a grave sin, Genesis 35 verse 22. While Genesis only briefly mentions this event, Jubilees delves deeply into its spiritual ramifications, portraying Reuben's actions as a direct violation of divine law. His fall clears the path for Judah to rise as leader among the tribes, and for Levi to assume the eternal priesthood, both roles predestined in God's divine order. For his sin, Reuben, the firstborn, was not counted in the inheritance. Instead, Judah was chosen as the leader of his brothers, and Levi was chosen for the eternal priesthood. Jubilees 33:10. Jubilees positions this reshuffling of leadership not as mere consequence but as part of God's unchanging design. Judah's kingship and Levi's priesthood are framed as fulfillment of eternal decrees inscribed on the heavenly tablets, aligning with the divine structure of the universe. The priesthood of Levi is no ordinary inheritance in Jubilees. It is elevated to an eternal mission, decreed long before the tribe's existence. Levi's role as a mediator between God and humanity becomes a sacred trust, rooted in the foundations of creation itself. And Levi was set apart for the eternal priesthood to offer sacrifices and mediate between the people and the Lord, for this was decreed on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 32:17. This perspective transforms Levi's role from a tribal responsibility into a divine mandate, intricately linked to the heavenly order and critical to the spiritual destiny of Israel. In Genesis, Jacob's 12 sons become the founders of the 12 tribes of Israel, tasked with claiming the promised land. Jubilees, however, ascribes a deeper spiritual mission to these tribes. Each tribe is depicted as a guardian of divine law, tasked with preserving and transmitting God's commandments across generations. And the Lord said to Jacob, "These are the laws for your sons and their descendants forever, written on the heavenly tablets, so that they may walk by them and live." Jubilees 29:6. This transforms the narrative from one of territorial inheritance to one of spiritual stewardship. The 12 tribes are not merely heirs to a promise but pivotal players in God's eternal plan. In Genesis, Joseph's life unfolds as a series of personal struggles and triumphs, from his brother's betrayal to his rise as Pharaoh's second-in-command. In Jubilees, however, his story is revealed to be part of a larger, divine narrative preordained and recorded on the heavenly tablets. And it was written on the heavenly tablets that Joseph would rule over Egypt and that through him, the sons of Israel would be saved from famine, though they would also be enslaved in Egypt for a time. Jubilees 42:2. Joseph's journey is no accident. His suffering, rise to power, and eventual role in saving his family are all carefully orchestrated by God as part of a grander design. A unique addition in Jubilees is the involvement of angels in Joseph's story. While Genesis highlights Joseph's faith and ability to interpret dreams, Jubilees reveals that angels played a direct role in guiding and protecting him. And the Lord sent his angels to protect Joseph on his journey to Egypt, so that he would not perish, for his life was precious in the eyes of the Lord, and his path was written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 34:21. This detail elevates Joseph's journey from a tale of human resilience to a celestial mission. His path was not merely influenced by divine favor but actively safeguarded by angelic forces to ensure the fulfillment of God's will. While Genesis concludes Joseph's story with his death and Israel's settlement in Egypt, Jubilees casts his life as a prophetic prelude to the Exodus. Joseph himself foresees the coming enslavement of his descendants and urges his brothers to hold fast to God's promises. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will surely visit you and bring you up out of this land to the land he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not be afraid, for all of this has been written and sealed on the heavenly tablets." Jubilees 46:9. Joseph's death is not just the end of his story but a bridge to Israel's greatest chapter, their deliverance from Egypt. His life serves as both a warning and a reassurance that God's promises will prevail, even in the face of oppression. Through Jubilees, Joseph's life takes on a cosmic dimension. His suffering, success, and foresight are not random events but integral elements of God's eternal plan. Guarded by angels and foretold on the heavenly tablets, Joseph's story becomes a cornerstone in the divine narrative, setting the stage for the Exodus and the ultimate salvation of God's people. By placing Joseph's life within this grand, celestial framework, Jubilees transforms a familiar tale into a profound meditation on God's sovereignty and the interconnectedness of human history and divine purpose. In the traditional narrative of Genesis and Exodus, Israel's enslavement begins when a new pharaoh, one who did not know Joseph, rises to power and subjects the Israelites to cruel oppression. Exodus 1 verses 8 to 14. However, Jubilees unveils a deeper, preordained purpose behind this period of suffering. It describes the enslavement as part of a prophecy written long ago on the heavenly tablets, where God laid out his grand design for humanity's salvation. The suffering in Egypt wasn't a historical accident, but a carefully orchestrated step in the divine plan to deliver Israel and reveal his law through Moses. And it was written on the heavenly tablets that they would be oppressed in Egypt, and God would bring them out with great power and miracles, so that his name would be glorified. Jubilees 48:1. This portrayal shifts the Exodus from a story of liberation to a cosmic drama where suffering and redemption serve a divine purpose, aligning with God's eternal plan. While the Book of Exodus depicts the plagues as God's direct response to Pharaoh's defiance, Jubilees introduces a layer of spiritual warfare, with angels taking a pivotal role in the battle between good and evil. Mastema, a figure closely associated with Satan, emerges as the architect of Israel's suffering. According to Jubilees, Mastema manipulates Pharaoh, hardening his heart and intensifying the Israelites' oppression to challenge their faith. And the prince of Mastema stood against them, seeking to destroy them through harsh labor and to cause them to abandon their faith in God. Jubilees 48:9. The plagues, therefore, are not just acts of divine intervention but decisive blows in a larger conflict against dark spiritual forces. God's victory is not merely over Pharaoh but also over the unseen powers opposing his will. Jubilees emphasizes that the Exodus was not a reactive event but part of a meticulously timed cosmic design. The precise moment of Israel's deliverance was inscribed on the heavenly tablets, aligning it with the sacred rhythms of creation. And it was written on the heavenly tablets that on the 14th day of the first month, at the appointed time, God would bring Israel out of Egypt, for this day had been chosen from the beginning of creation. Jubilees 49:1. In this light, the Exodus becomes a cosmic event, rooted in divine foreknowledge, where human history aligns perfectly with God's eternal calendar. In the Exodus account, the plagues are miraculous punishments aimed at Pharaoh's stubbornness. Jubilees takes this further, presenting the plagues as a calculated attack on Egypt's gods and the spiritual powers that stood behind them. And the Lord sent the plagues upon Egypt not only to judge Pharaoh but to show that the gods of Egypt were nothing before him, for they were false powers unable to stand before the Almighty. Jubilees 48:11. This depiction recasts the plagues as not just earthly disasters but spiritual declarations of God's supremacy over all false deities and demonic forces. While Exodus tells of Moses receiving the law on Mount Sinai, Jubilees reveals a striking detail. The laws were not new. They had existed long before Moses, inscribed on the heavenly tablets that contain God's eternal commandments. These divine inscriptions, predating the foundation of the world, serve as blueprints for creation, guiding both angels and humanity. Moses, in this narrative, is not the originator but the chosen vessel to deliver these eternal laws in their fullness to Israel. And the law and testimony were ordained and inscribed on the heavenly tablets, created even before the foundation of the world, to guide all generations of the children of Israel. Jubilees 6:17. This shifts the perspective of the law from a covenant unique to Israel to a universal and eternal structure governing the entire cosmos. One of Jubilees' most extraordinary claims is that the laws of Moses were upheld long before his time. While the traditional Bible portrays patriarchs like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as righteous, it does not describe them as following specific laws. Jubilees changes this, showing that they observed the Sabbath, offered sacrifices, and adhered to commandments that would later be formalized by Moses. For instance, Abraham is portrayed as keeping the Sabbath and dietary laws, acting in accordance with divine instruction long before the Sinai revelation. For Abraham kept the Sabbath, circumcised his son, and observed the commandments of God, written on the heavenly tablets. And the law was revealed to him through the angels of the Lord. Jubilees 16:28. In this narrative, the laws are not inventions of Moses' era but eternal truths practiced by all righteous men from Adam onward. Moses' role is to codify and pass down the laws in their entirety. Jubilees places extraordinary importance on the sacred calendar, where time itself, marked by the Sabbath, festivals, and Jubilee years, is central to God's divine order. These time cycles, inscribed on the heavenly tablets, allow humanity to live in harmony with creation's sacred rhythm. The calendar described in Jubilees consists of a solar year of 364 days, which the text insists is the only correct system for observing God's laws. By contrast, reliance on lunar calendars is portrayed as a deviation that causes spiritual chaos and disobedience. And the Lord said to Moses, "Record for Israel the laws concerning the Sabbath and the festivals, for these times have been decreed on the heavenly tablets, and you must observe them precisely to avoid error." Jubilees 5:2. This emphasis reframes adherence to the sacred calendar as a foundational act of worship, aligning humanity with the divine plan. Another remarkable insight from Jubilees is its assertion that the laws of Moses are not limited to Israel but are eternal decrees for all generations, and even for the heavenly hosts. And the law given to Moses on Mount Sinai is eternal and shall be observed both in heaven and on earth. The angels keep the Sabbath, and the righteous will observe the commandments forever. Jubilees 50:13. This universal vision transforms the laws into a cosmic constitution, binding not only humanity but also celestial beings to God's divine order. In Jubilees, the Exodus is elevated beyond history. It becomes a critical chapter in God's universal plan, where Israel's liberation, the revelation of the law, and the sacred calendar unite to restore humanity's alignment with divine truth. By presenting these events as eternal realities written on the heavenly tablets, Jubilees redefines the Exodus as more than an escape from slavery. It is a step in humanity's journey toward cosmic harmony with God's timeless covenant. At the heart of Jubilees lies a compelling vision of prophecy, an intricate timeline of Israel's future, inscribed on the heavenly tablets at the very beginning of creation. Jubilees paints a cosmic narrative in which Israel's journey, from its rise to its rebellion, exile, and ultimate restoration, follows a meticulously ordained schedule. Every chapter of human history, from creation to the final judgment, is part of this divine script. Everything that will happen to Israel has already been written on the heavenly tablets, from their rebellion to their redemption. The times appointed for their deliverance were set long ago. Jubilees 23:32. While traditional scriptures like Genesis and Exodus focus on specific milestones, Jubilees zooms out to reveal a grand, universal plan, one where Israel's destiny is interwoven with God's eternal purpose. In the climactic vision of Jubilees, angels play a decisive role in the final judgment. Tasked with separating the righteous from the wicked, they descend to gather those who have faithfully kept God's commandments. The prince of evil, Mestema, often equated with Satan, faces his ultimate defeat as the angels bind him and cast him into the abyss. This event signifies the definitive victory of good over evil. The Lord will send his angels to gather his chosen ones. They will bind the prince of evil spirits and cast him into the abyss, where he will remain until the time of judgment, when he will be destroyed forever. Jubilees 23:29. Here, Jubilees transcends earthly judgment, presenting it as part of a cosmic struggle, where divine justice reverberates across both the physical and spiritual realms. Jubilees envisions Israel's redemption as more than the fulfillment of a historical promise. It is a spiritual rebirth that aligns humanity with God's sacred design. After enduring immense suffering, Israel will be purified, the law reestablished, and the nation will walk in holiness, paving the way for the arrival of the Messiah and the establishment of God's eternal kingdom. The time will come when the children of Israel will return to the Lord with all their hearts. He will gather them from the nations and place them in the promised land, as written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 23:26. While traditional scriptures such as Isaiah and Jeremiah prophesy the restoration of Israel, Jubilees elevates this vision by revealing it as part of a divine plan, preordained and woven into the fabric of creation itself. The prophecy of the Messianic kingdom is the crowning vision of Jubilees. In this kingdom, God establishes his reign of righteousness on earth. The present age ends, giving way to an eternal era where divine law governs all. The righteous are rewarded, their hearts inscribed with God's law, while the wicked are cast into the lake of fire to face everlasting destruction. The Lord will establish his kingdom on earth, and the righteous will reign with him. The law will be written on their hearts, and the wicked will be cast into the lake of fire. Jubilees 50:13. This vision offers a picture of creation restored, a world where divine justice prevails, and harmony between heaven and earth is fully realized. Jubilees doesn't just chronicle history. It illuminates a grand narrative that connects the past, present, and future. It calls upon humanity to recognize its place within God's eternal plan, inviting us to reflect on a future where justice, holiness, and peace reign supreme. It's a story of redemption, renewal, and the ultimate triumph of God's kingdom, a vision that continues to inspire and captivate those who seek to understand the mysteries of divine prophecy. If this journey through the Book of Jubilees has sparked your curiosity and illuminated new layers of biblical understanding, we invite you to share this discovery. Spread the message to others who may find inspiration in this extraordinary text. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to our channel, Deep Bible Stories, and join the discussion in the comments below. Let's uncover the profound mysteries of Scripture together. The Book of Jubilees opens a doorway into a cosmic vision of biblical history, revealing a divine timeline intricately woven into the fabric of creation. It challenges us to explore ancient truths and deepens our understanding of God's eternal plan for humanity. This is not just a study. It's a spiritual adventure waiting to unfold. Your support is key in bringing these revelations to light. Share this video with friends, family, and fellow seekers of truth. By liking and subscribing to Daily Bible Stories, you'll become part of a growing community dedicated to exploring the mysteries of angels, divine laws, the sacred solar calendar, and the connections between Jubilees and the traditional Bible. Together, we can dive deeper into the spiritual and mystical dimensions of Scripture. Thank you for your support, your curiosity, and your commitment to uncovering the deeper truths of God's Word. Let's embark on this journey of discovery and transformation together.